I like to start these sessions pretty sharpish, and anything that we produce is available on our YouTube channel. If you've registered, you actually receive a permanent link to the recording, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. Okay, so let's just begin. So what I want to cover with you today is the marketing funnel really dead? And there's a few things we're going to cover in the agenda. We're going to talk about anything that we talk about. If you have any questions at all, please do let me know. Write it in the chat box, write it in the Q&A area, and I'll address these. Don't wait till the end, just pop them in. But we will look at Q&A at the end. I can't hear you, I can't see you, so that's the best way to communicate with me. We are broadcasting live to YouTube as well. This means that any of these sessions that we do go straight into YouTube. After it's rendered, it takes a few hours, and you'll probably find it's available tomorrow. So what else can I tell you? So I'm going to run a poll to find out who the audience is that we are presenting to today. That makes sure that the content that we deliver is specifically geared towards you so that you get the most out of it. We'll cover what even is a marketing funnel, because you may have come to going, I don't even understand what a marketing funnel is. I'm in a library, for example. What are you talking about? And then we have the evolution of the funnel as well. So we're going to look about how that's evolving, always thinking about that question about, is the marketing funnel really dead? So we're going to ask that question, cover that, and then I'm going to do a poll, because I'm going to ask you whether you feel it's actually dead or not. So there is a couple of interactivity in here. And then, as I mentioned at the end, we're going to discuss the Q&A. So if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please do pop them in the chat area or in the Q&A area, and I'll address them at the end. But don't wait until the end, just pop them throughout the presentation. Not a problem at all. Okay, so who am I, first of all, that is presenting to you? If you don't know me, my name's Lou Peck. I'm the CEO and founder of the International Bunch. We're a specialist marketing consultancy that works in the scholarly communications area. We have three core services: advisory services, marketing services, which we'd expect to find from a marketing agency, and then also progressive thinking. It's all on our website, www.internationalbunch.com, if you want to find out more. I myself am a chair of CILIP Cymru Wales, which is a local committee for information professionals. Libraries are very, very, very important to me, very close to my heart. Also, I'm chair of the AUTS Membership and Marketing Committee. It's a role that I took on at the beginning of this year. And I'm also a mentor with them as well. I've been in the industry for about 21 years, working with libraries, information professionals, intermediaries, publishers, societies, lots of different organisations. So enough about me, enough about the International Bunch. Let's get going. So the first thing I want to do is I want to ask you a question. And just to remind you, this is streaming live on YouTube. So, and I'm not going to publish the results. This is purely for me to know who I've actually got here today in this session. So I'm able to ensure that the examples that I give are specific to those of you that are on this session. Okay, let me just check. Okay, I'll just give you a couple more moments. I'm going to make myself a nice hot coffee, so I'm just going to sneak a quick drink. Okay, great. And I'm going to end it in 5 seconds. I could count down, but I'm not going to. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, that gives me a really good idea. So actually, we've got quite a mix here, and that's good. So I can give lots of different examples. And I know we had people from different sectors as well who have also registered for this, and we'll watch the on-demand version. So what even is a marketing funnel? If you know anything about marketing funnels, this will just give you a refresher. If you don't, hopefully this will help you to understand. This webinar is not supposed to be a really long-winded, lots of information webinar. It's just specifically looking at that question, that is, are marketing funnels really dead? or are they not? So when we look at marketing funnels, now when I talk about organization, that could be an institution, it could be a library, it could be a publisher, it could be any type of organization. And also when you talk about funnels, you'll be talking about like purchases, for example. Well, actually, I talk about transaction because especially with the different audiences that we deal with, it could be any type of transaction, any type of call to action that you're doing. So a marketing funnel is basically starting right from one end and saying, I've got this customer, user, whoever they are, this person, they're the ideal one. They don't even know who we are yet or what we do or the service that we've got. And I want to take them from here and I want to take them down here so that they know exactly who we are and they've actually completed their call to action. And then they're maybe in some kind of loyalty or retention phase. So this is a very basic view of what a marketing funnel can look like. This is 3 stages. It's nice and simple and easy. So it starts with discovering who the brand is, or the institution or the organization, or discovering what the service is or the product. And then it's going down to consider whether or not they want to carry on. And then ultimately, whatever the transaction is, whether in this example here, it's to purchase. And you can see that there's an arrow and it just keeps going around and around. So it's like a continuous model in that respect. So you have the top of the funnel, discovery, the middle of the funnel, which is consideration, and then the bottom of the funnel, which is the transaction or the purchase. We also have some nice acronyms there because, hey, we all love a good acronym, hey? Now, this just means that because it's shaped like a funnel, so you've got a wide mouth at the top, catching as many people as possible. And then as you filter people down and you progress them through the different stages, you ultimately end up with those who really are interested in your product or service, those that are taking action. And ultimately, what's very important is retention here. It's about the repeat customers. So that's what a funnel is. It's effectively a process a journey that you send people through. Now, I don't actually like to say the word journey. I like to say the word adventure, because life is an adventure, not just a journey. Now, if you wanted to actually make it a little bit more complex, this is an expanded marketing funnel example. So you have at the top here, you've got exposure, and then you have the discovery, which was initially at the top of the other one that we looked at. And you start going down through different phases, and it depends about the complexity of the journey that these users are going through. Maybe it's just a simple 3-step process. Maybe actually it is more detailed, more intricate, like this one is. And actually what this one also caters for is that when you get to the bottom of the funnel and effectively it turns into like a square, that's where you've got the loyalty, retention, and also the advocacy. So what happens after the purchase, the action, the conversion has taken place? Then you go down into building the customer relationships. It's about repeat business, loyalty, retention, advocacy. Okay. So hopefully that's given you a very quick view of what a marketing funnel is. You can get funnels for different parts of an organization. Sales have a funnel, for example. So it's applicable across different types of the business or the organization. But why are they important? So I've got 3 things that I'm going to highlight specifically here. A, funnels are important because of sustainable growth. So it's about newly acquired customers. I say customers because maybe they're your users, maybe they're your patrons, maybe they're researchers, whoever they are, to become repeat customers, which I mentioned before. So it's about retention. And sustainable growth is making sure that you grow in a sustainable way. It's about repetition as well. So as I mentioned when I showed you that first basic model of what a funnel looks like, there was an arrow which starts at the bottom and then goes back up to the top. And that means that there's an infinite loop aiming for repetitive behavior. So you may have people who are already in different parts of the funnel, and it's how do you move them into the area that you ultimately desire them to be? And actually, if they don't end up going down there, where do they go? And how can you bring them back and loop them down? And then it also is about improving return on investment, or otherwise known as ROI. So retention is cheaper than acquisition. What do I even mean by that? I'm going to give you some stats here. The stats I'm going to talk about are, they could be applicable to any industry. They're giving you a scale as an idea, because without knowing your industry and doing detailed analysis, we're not able to give a proper comparison of what the KPIs are. But let's have a look at these advantages of retention. So 5 to 25 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than retaining an existing one. So imagine you're in a library, and it's actually 5 to 25 times more expensive to acquire a new user of a library than retaining an existing one. Now, the expense isn't just the cost. Maybe you're having to do some marketing costs. Maybe it's a resource cost of having people to do campaigns to get new patrons in, for example. 5% increase in customer retention, just a 5% increase in customer retention can increase company revenue or an organization's revenue by 25 to 95%. So that is quite staggering in terms of how important it is to continually engage with those who are already engaged with you and to keep them happy. Retained customers buy and spend more than newer customers. So what happens is that they really learn the value of the product and service. If you use Apple as an example here, I'm an Android user, but if you use Apple as an example, I really see how many people that I know really value and love their Apple products and how well those Apple products work together. And they're very proud of those products. And so there's a real learned value that's come from my friends who love Apple and have a Mac or a MacBook Pro, and they have an iPhone, and they have other devices, and they talk so well together, maybe not so well outside of Apple, but they talk so well together. So they've really learned the value. And also, happy and loyal customers are more likely to refer friends and family. So word of mouth is free. I mean, a lot of the business that we do is based on retention of our clients and also word of mouth. It's staggeringly high. It's about 90% at the moment. So you can really see that when you keep your customers or your users happy, that their loyal behavior will really shine through. Now, I have a picture here of a chap who is laughing his head off. In fact, when I looked for pictures of Brian, they were mostly laughing. So funnels are out, the flywheel is in. The what? I've just been talking to you about funnels, and now I'm talking to you about something else. So is it time to bid bye to the marketing funnel and in exchange for the flywheel? Well, so Brian Halligan, who is the CEO and co-founder of HubSpot, he had said at an event, the funnel is dead. Long live the flywheel. You're probably thinking, oh my goodness, something else, what? So for me, it's about the right combination. So marketing funnels, they don't work on their own. They are part of a bigger picture. They're part of a strategy. They're part of a process. They're part of something that you're doing. Marketing flywheels intentionally focus on turning customers or consumers or users to be your biggest fan and to refer and grow what you do. Flywheels are very much built around growth. Sales funnels, as an example, in a sales department, they're part of this as well. But that's very much about acquiring a lead or purchase, which can be part of a funnel, or they can have their own funnel. It just depends on the structure of the organization that you work in. And also how these teams align. It's very important that teams align very closely with the customer at the core. So consumers, they're purchasing, they're repurchasing, they're sharing your content if you produce content. They're leaving a testimonial, for example, and they're also referring your organization. That is what a flywheel is all about. So this is a flywheel. This is a lot of what we're coming out of this presentation is from HubSpot. If you don't know HubSpot as a resource, it is an exceptional resource with lots of really good, helpful advice and information. Of course, they have a structure behind them, which is a commercial entity, and they make money somehow, but they do have a lot of amazing content. So unlike the funnel, the flywheel is remarkable at storing and releasing energy. And it turns out that pretty That's pretty important when thinking about your business strategy. So it was invented by James Watt. The flywheel is simply a wheel that's incredibly energy efficient. So what you need to be thinking about is think about a wheel on a train or a car that is constantly moving, and you want it to be smooth running, and any kind of friction is going to slow it down. So you want it to be spinning fast, and also you've got to be considering about the size of it. So when we look at the flywheel, and this is effectively the evolution of the funnel, the forces, it's about the forces that are affecting an organization's growth. And you can see right in the middle there, it says growth. And then it's fundamental to inbound frameworks. It's about transforming the sales process. And it's a process that is designed for longevity of referrals and retention. This is about a sustainable way forward. It's about responding rapidly to changing purchase process. Now, we know, especially after a year of being in a pandemic, how quickly things change and how disruptive the current landscape can be. And we cover this in our agile marketing training. But what happens is that if you start planning a year back, and I'm saying, gosh, in 2021, we're going to be here, and I do my plans. Actually, when we come to that time at the end of my plan in 2021, if I haven't adjusted my plan, if I'm not doing check-ins to see whether the landscape's changed, I'm going to be way off where the current landscape is now. And especially if we have like a pandemic, that throws everything up in the air. So it's about making sure that you can respond quickly to the changing environment around you, and also the processes and the behaviors of your users, your consumers, your purchasers, whatever they are. So it helps to shift the focus, and it nurtures customers rather than forgetting them. So customers are right at the center with the emphasis on relationship building and customer care engagement. Now, what I'm telling you is nothing new. This has been going on for many years, but it's a way to articulate it in a more transparent way. And before, it was about having a funnel that went in and people went through the process, where it's about thinking about the bigger picture. So a bad experience, for example, is the biggest threat to a business, not the competition, because that can be so detrimental in so many ways. And when you think about those stats that we talked about in terms of customer retention and the value that a retained customer can bring, it's significantly worse when you think about someone having a bad experience and the bad word of mouth that they can spread. So we have this flywheel here with growth in the middle, and then you've got the three areas: attract, engage, delight, which are on the outside. And then further on the outside of that, you've got the type of audience. So with attract, it's strangers. With engage, it's prospects or customers. And then with delight, it's delighting your customers, but also your promoters, those who are going to talk about you, those who are going to tell family and friends about you. So it simplifies it in a different way. So it's about getting the most out of your mix. Now, remember, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. So the first thing I want you to be thinking about when it comes to a flywheel is the speed. Its speed in terms of how quickly it's spinning is to do with the intensity of the efforts and the productivity of what's happening in terms of where the people are in the process and how quickly they're going through it. And also in terms of the service that you offer. So if you're a marketing team, it's a service that you're offering to authors, to researchers, and also the speed of how the departments are working and how they're working together. And then there's the friction. So is the flywheel being stopped from moving forward? Is it being slowed down by something? If you decrease the friction, you're going to have a much smoother, faster running flywheel. And then when you think of the size, this is about the pool or the number of your target audience, your consumers, your customers, your users, your patrons, whoever they may be. So there are three specific factors that you've got to be thinking about to keep that flywheel moving forward: the speed, the friction, the size. So happy customer momentum drives referrals and repeat transactions, we know, because we've talked about that. All teams are invested in customer experience, and that's vitally important, that any teams within an organization are all invested and understand the importance of customer experience. And it's important that teams are aligned. So if I was to look at a publisher, for example, it'd be really important that marketing, sales, editorial, IT, any other specific departments, they're all well aligned with each other. Accounts, maybe because of transactional dealings on the finance side, they all need to make sure that they're keeping customer at the core of what you do. And the same would be at a library. So you're thinking the library's working closely with the research office, who's also working with the IT. So it's ensuring that your customers are continually happy. They've still got continued access to all the resources that they need to access. So when you compare them side by side, attract is basically typically the top of the funnel. And that is about how do you create awareness? So that could be referrals, that could be paid advertising that you're doing. It could be content that you're delivering. Maybe you're doing videos, maybe you're doing YouTube or Facebook Live. Maybe it's through social media, maybe it's through testimonials, maybe it's educational content that you're making. And that is what you would refer to, because it's a marketing activities, as a marketing qualified lead, an MQL. Now, when you qualify the leads in this respect, you have a marketing qualified lead, and there's also an SQL, which is a sales qualified lead. And that is also a way of measuring what exactly marketing is doing. So marketing qualified lead is a way of saying, from this campaign, we got this. And so you can measure the activity in terms of its effectiveness and also the return on investment for the organization. So you've got attract, and then you've got engage. And engage is about interactive content, really getting them to engage with what you're doing. Maybe it's to do with how-tos as well. Maybe it's email marketing, because you can go back and forth. Chatbots as well. We had a webinar that we've got on our YouTube channel, which is about how marketeers are using artificial intelligence, or how teams are using artificial intelligence to engage with their audiences. So it's how are you engaging with them, and what are you doing? Could be digitally, could be physically, face-to-face. I mean, that'd be lovely in this day and age, eh? And then finally, you've got delight. So this is ongoing customer support. This is following them up. This is incentives to transact again and again, or getting them to refer friends and family. And that is what you would call a sales qualified lead, an SQL. So you can see that we have on one side, we've got the basic funnel, and then on the other side, we've got the flywheel. So even though I said that Brian poo-pooed the marketing funnel, John Dick, who is the VP of marketing at HubSpot, said, we recognize that funnels aren't going away. What? So while the flywheel is a better metaphor for how today's organizations grow, you will still have funnel-shaped charts and graphs representing the effectiveness of different processes within your company or organization, because, you know, not everybody's a company. You may use a funnel chart to improve a particular aspect of your business performance. So just remember, even though a process can easily be visualized as a funnel, it's actually one piece of a larger flywheel. So you'll find that funnels, you can have lots of different funnels throughout an organization, but they're part of the bigger picture, which is the flywheel. So funnels or flywheels. The flywheel is a more accurate representation of what every organization needs to do to grow. So it's about growth, sustainability, retention. So we talked about reducing the friction. So it could be between sales and marketing and the customer services team. It could be between the research office, the library, and IT. And that is about having a seamless customer experience, a nice, smooth one. And it'll also to help to accelerate growth. And you'll also look to amplify the results of your services that you're generating. So the funnel, in my humble opinion, is still alive and well in 2021 for many industries and inside organizations as part of the bigger picture of a flywheel. So you can use funnels to measure the success of other processes, all of which will contribute to the bigger picture of the flywheel. Now, that's what I think anyway. So is the marketing funnel really dead? Let's ask you. So this is my second poll to you. And this session doesn't last very long, so we're going to finish in just a moment. But I'm now going to launch the second poll. So I want to ask you, so is the funnel marketing really, I meant to say dead, I obviously put did. So is it absolutely stone cold dead? Is it still holding on just? Is it alive and kicking like you are on this webinar? Or is it never going to die? What do you think? So the poll's open for you. I'm just going to have a sneaky bit of my coffee. Great. Just going to give you a couple of seconds more and see people are answering this. Okay, so I'm going to end the polling. You look to be the same mindset as me. I mean, I'm kind of in between still holding on just and it's alive and kicking. And you're the same as me, which is great. So we're all on the same page together. I clearly have done my job. So we're now come to the end of the session because we've all answered the question. But what I do want to point you towards is that we have a number of free resources on our website. Simply go to internationalbunch.com/resources. We've got a blog full of lots of great blog posts and how-tos and talking about trends, etc., lots of good stuff. We've got podcasts as well, which are done in 60-second ones, which give a definition of different things that you have in marketing. And we're always looking for contributors for that as well. We've got marketing resources, scholarly resources, and we've got training and webinars that we do. And also we've got videos for you to watch. So I mentioned our YouTube channel. We're actually exploring another channel for our colleagues in China. But what can you find on here? Well, if you're sitting at your desk a lot, we've got some great, we had commissioned some really fun exercises for you to do at your desk. Well, I wouldn't say they're fun because exercising isn't always fun, hey? We've also got the live webinars that we do. There's a channel there with them all. So we've got ones about email marketing. So that's about your subject lines and your pre-headers, the importance of your pre-headers, and some good stats and advice about email marketing. There's the AI one that I mentioned. There's also one on effective social media, which we actually had a lot of libraries attend and information professionals. There's ones about increasing your journal impact and also journal marketing. And then we've got other ones like having inclusive language. And then we've got lots of hints and tips on various different social platforms as well. So definitely do go through and take a look at those. And what I will say is for those that have registered for this, you get a permanent access to this recording on YouTube. What happens is that as we create training courses around our content, the videos get hidden. So you only have them there for a specific amount of time. So definitely do have a look at them. Okay, the other thing I want to mention is we are relaunching our podcast and it's going to be called Behind the Fluff. It's going to be available on Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, and you can also just simply go to our website /podcast and you can find it there. We are relaunching it. We've got the Inspiring the Next CMO series coming up and Wayne Syme is going to be the first. That's probably most likely going to be out this week. If not early next week, and then those will be released every 2 weeks. We've got about 6 in production, and then we also speak to those in the industry to find out what's going on, what's happening, trends, etc. So we've got a schedule going on about those. Okay, so now I just want to ask you any questions. So please do let me know if you have any questions. I'm just also checking the YouTube that's streaming. Okay. So in terms of questions, okay, I have a question here, which is, will there be a day when the flywheel is no longer fit for purpose and is replaced by a new customer journey? Lovely. Okay, so the flywheel is basically, if you're thinking about your strategy, and the flywheel is part of your bigger picture. Now, it's a visual representation of how to do your strategy and how to pull your teams together. Now, the funnel has been around for many, many years, and I often get targeted on Facebook by companies who are trying to sell their way of doing things through funnels. So flywheels, maybe they'll evolve into something else in the future, because it's driven by consumer behavior, and it's driven by how we use the various channels and resources that we have available to us. So at the moment, it's about retention, but actually in the future, in terms of technology and the way that we digest information and the way that we purchase may change. So of course, that model might change. But I certainly don't think that the funnel is dead. I think it's very much alive and kicking. Okay, just checking if there have been any other questions. No, we're looking good. Okay, great. So I just ran over half an hour, which is pretty good for me, because normally these webinars go on for about 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm getting there. I'm getting better. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. As an attendee, you will get a link come up to attend the survey and to give us feedback on how the session was for you and whether there's anything that you're specifically looking for us to cover. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. If you want to get in contact with us, please do at team@internationalbranch.com. I wish you all the best, and I will speak to you very soon. Thanks very much.